I like Gabby's stance. Like Gabby, I saw her when she did her debate. She has her water on and she takes a minute and she sips the water.
Because right when you're ready, like you're like, what should I reply to that? You take that's the trick.
Hi guys, welcome to Bread with the Sisters. So, today we have a special guest. This is Gabby.
Hello.
Lovely. So she'll be coming on today to talk about the topic.
Don't judge me.
Don't judge me. Okay, now ladies, let's give an example of a time that you've been judged just to...
Or maybe you have been judged or feel like you have judged somebody, or maybe somebody has perceived that you have judged them.
Yes, or perceive that you have judged them.
Both.
Yeah. So I'll start because I have felt like, being that right now I consider myself devout Christian, and I have expressed or lovingly made suggestions in regards to certain behaviors, and the comeback has been that I'm judging somebody. So that has been kind of my experience. It wasn't my intention to judge because it's not my job to judge. God is the one that judges. But I can observe a behavior and see that is contrary to what the Bible teaches. And if I do claim, or somebody does claim that they follow the Christian teaching, then the Bible invites us to lovingly educate our brothers and sisters. How about you, Gabby?
Well, don't judge me. See, my catchphrase before I was a child of God. But yeah, when you are living a life you know you shouldn't be living, and someone comes to you lovingly and says, hey, maybe you shouldn't be doing that, I would say, don't judge me. This is who I want to be, and who are you to try and tell me what I should do with my life? And now, like we were speaking about earlier, now I understand that was a place of shame that was coming from those statements. But yeah, that's my experience.
How about you, Raven?
Yeah, I think mainly what I've gotten from, if I'm making like comments or just suggestions, like, oh, just telling a friend we're talking and we're getting advice, and I'm like, well, maybe you should be doing this then, if that's what your conscience is telling you. Well, it's like, well, why are you judging me? I thought you're simply asking me, and I'm telling you, if this is where your conscience is leading you to, then okay, then where's the judgment? If it's not in me, then it must be within yourself.
Yeah, but I think what's really important, because probably there must be like some definitions that need to be made clear, because I think there's blurring when people say, when they call out somebody on a behavior lovingly, people may misunderstand it as being judged. So I think that probably there has to be some clarity on definitions. What do you guys think on that?
What is judgment, and how? Maybe it's the verbiage that are making things sticky, and people are getting like hypersensitive, like, oh, don't judge me. But it's
and the Bible uses a lot of judge, like God is the judge and He's the righteous judge. So if you use the word, it's judgment. I mean, like, but if somebody's speeding on the freeway and he's going over 200 miles, the freeway says, drive at 70 miles per hour. If I'm going to tell you like, hey, you're driving, then somebody's going to be like, oh, you're judging me. But the freeway does say it's 70 miles per hour.
Yes.
So I have to be able to judge that you're making an action that is contrary to what the laws have been. So,
right.
So what would it mean in your opinion? Just passing your opinion on someone's actions? Or no?
No, I don't think it's passing an opinion. It's just making an observation in regards to certain actions somebody has displayed
and
that are contrary. Contrary
what
to
you've seen.
Okay.
Or contrary to a certain moral or whatever compass or
to
law
what is
or
the
standard
law. Yes.
or whatever standard we have in place.
Right.
So if, for example, you're at work and somebody comes in and clocks in like 30 minutes late, I'm making a conclusion that you're late based on the standards that the work has defined, that you shouldn't be coming in. You should be coming in at 7, so you should be work at 7. So am I judging you by saying that you're coming in that late? So I think that's where the clarity needs to be. When is it judging as in regards to judging somebody's soul or judging a behavior? What do you guys think?
I think, one, we should take a look. What is the moral conscience? And being able to break that down, because if we're going to talk about judgment, we need to first come to an agreement.
Yeah, so I think
morality.
Of morality.
And Gabby mentioned that having a common morality
is very important within a society in order for us all to be living a certain type of way.
Yeah.
And then for all of our judgments to be aligned.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do we come up with this common morality?
But we would probably all agree that it's based off of God's law.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm Christian. I'm definitely going to
And
say
so I also-
my law is based on God's law.
And also just like the whole idea of a common morality would probably tie back into having your conscience and what your moral compass is guiding you to go. Because I do truly believe that God has instilled a conscience within all of us and a compass with all of us to follow that. And when you are not following that path, you probably know it. And you can feel it.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
the Catechism has something. It's in Article 6. It's about the moral conscience.
Right.
And if you guys want to reference it, in 1780, it talks about the conscience includes a perception of the principles of morality, their application in the given circumstances by practical discernment of reasons and goods. So you were talking about the law, and it's saying practical discernment. So how do they...
Which is a gift from God.
Which is a gift from God. So I think in order for us to understand how to discern and what the common law is, we should reflect back on the 10 Commandments.
Because that's the law we're following.
Because that is the law we're following.
Right.
And that is the law of love. That is the law of purification, truthfully. And so, okay, so 10 Commandments.
Yeah, so we're gonna go over that.
Let's do it.
So
Okay.
because it's very important to understand that for our consciousness to be formed, we have to understand what is the law. Like you're in America, you're following a certain law. You're following the laws set by the Constitution of the United States of America. We were created by God, so we should be following the law set by God, because he basically he created us and he knows. He's
Yes, sorry, not to interrupt. Okay, so there's Bishop Barron has a podcast and it's called Theonomy, and it's really good. And he talks about, there's 3 things. He talks about heteronomy, autonomy, and theonomy.
Oh, wow.
Heteronomy is the law of others.
Oh.
So it's when you are being governed. I love that you're so intrigued.
Oh, wow, you tell me something. Tell me something that I don't know.
So heteronomy is the law of others. So you are being governed by things outside of yourself. For some of the young, this could be your parents. This could be the government and many other things. And then the autonomy is the law of self. So it's where you are your own law and you are governing yourself. And then of course,
I don't like that autonomy law already, because that heads for disaster. 'Cause if I think it's okay to
My
kill.
law is my law.
Exactly. And so that's what he talks about. It's like you have these 2 extremes and you're constantly oscillating between them.
Right.
And then the third, of course, is theonomy, which is the law of God. So it's like,
I like that. I'm for that one.
Yeah, because you're trying to strike a balance, because you can't have too much of one.
Right.
The law of self, then it's like you're careless and you're ruled by your... How do you stay in place? Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
And then heteronomy, of course, the government can go and see, communism and all of that. So you show like how pure government can have a rule.
Right. Yeah.
So the balancing act is theonomy, and that's the law of God. Okay, so we'll talk.
Because he created us. So if we truly say we are Christian, or we carry that label and claim that we're Christian, then we should follow the law of that whoever created us, because he knew best and knew. It's kind of like a child and a mother. You have certain rules, and you go to the playground and say, this is how you're going to play.
Out of love.
Yeah, out of love. And you have to stay within this playground. If you go outside the playground, then you're going to get hurt. So you're not doing it because you want to restrict the child, but you're doing it out of love, because you know if they go against that, they're going to get burnt or something is going to happen to them. So I think what's really important to understand, if we truly say that we are Christian and we are following the moral and natural law designed by God who made us, then this is what we should govern our lives. So tell us about the moral law.
All right, Mama. So 10 Commandments. And you guys can just listen to this and just say to yourself, yes, I agree. Or no, I don't agree.
If you don't agree, then I guess you don't subscribe to God's moral law. And in that case, it's okay to go and kill somebody, because you define your own law. I'm not saying that you should do that.
Okay,
but I'm
so
just
let's
giving an
listen.
example.
Let's listen. So the first rule of law is, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. So he's acknowledging himself as God.
Right.
That he is the one. He is the one you go to. He is your redeemer. He is everything.
Right.
This is who you surrender to.
And then what is the second one?
Secondly, you shall have no other gods before me.
And then the third one. I agree.
Yes.
I agree with that one.
Okay.
Because that's idolatry.
Yes.
Okay. What's
More
the third?
so, you shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven, above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below.
Right. And it could be anything. It could be money. It could be
Yep.
somebody or anything.
Fame.
Yeah, exactly.
You shall not bow down to them or worship them.
Mm-hmm.
For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God,
Okay.
punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me,
Okay.
but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments.
And so
You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God,
Okay.
for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name.
I agree, because there's a lot of that. Like, I'm guilty of that. Like many times, I just,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to be very conscious of that because I can call the Lord.
This next one is a really good one because so many times I hear practicing Christians go, I don't need to go to church. I have God in my heart.
True.
So remember
Ooh,
the Sabbath.
that's a delicate subject.
Just a little shade there.
Yeah.
Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy.
True.
6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, but he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy.
Okay.
All right.
And what number are we now?
All
7?
right.
Is that
These the commandments?
Yeah, she's doing the ten
Yes.
commandments. Yeah.
You're still in the first, aren't you?
No.
Second?
Whoa, Miss Gabby.
Wait, no.
No.
Oh, okay,
no. It's okay. I get it. They kind of blend.
yeah.
They're all,
Yes.
Okay. Next one is honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you.
I
Okay.
promise I know my 10 commandments.
Okay.
This is why we're reiterating. Okay.
No,
Okay.
I don't think it's because of you, Gabby.
not-
We are not judging you.
No,
we are not
we're
judging
not
you.
judging.
Good night.
And then the next is you shall not murder.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you don't have anybody sticking around. You shall not commit adultery.
Mm-hmm.
You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. And then lastly, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or his male or female servant, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor.
Okay, and those are the 10 commandments.
And those
I
are the
don't
10
know, guys.
commandments.
Do you agree or disagree? I, for one, agree, and I agree with the 10 commandments 100%. I'm not perfect. I try to live that. Do you
1,000%.
subscribe to that
I
moral law?
subscribe.
You try to,
100%.
you strive to, and you pray for God's assistance. And
Right.
I would hope, that I think I do.
Yeah.
But we all trip up, and but
course,
and you do the
yes.
best you can, yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, we have to understand that it's for our own safety and for our own protection, that God lovingly, he wants us to be free. And we can only, if we try to keep within, because imagine, like, if you go and maybe cheat on somebody's wife or, and then somebody comes and kills you, that's going to hurt you and hurt your family. So some of these things just clearly, it's there to help you and
guide you.
live together in peace and love
And
and
take
just,
you home to the Lord.
right, yeah. So I think that's
And I think a good thing to say is that judgment is ultimately love in Christ. You're living your life by the love of Christ.
right.
And so you're being judged by that. How much you love Christ and how much you go away from him.
Right. And even then,
And-
I think it says in the Bible, like, in a community, if you see your brother falling, that you should call him and go, like, talk to him. If he
Yes.
doesn't listen, then bring him in front of the elders.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to make an observation that whatever actions or behaviors they're doing are contrary to a certain law. Like I said, the U.S. has a constitution and a law.
Yeah.
If somebody comes and breaks into somebody's house, they're going against that constitution, the law that has been set, that we need to follow. So
Especially if we are Christians, we want to help our fellow Christians. We are ultimately here to raise all our souls to heaven. So if I see you falling and I know where you want to be and you're going behind it, why will I not lovingly
But
remind
Raven,
you?
let me ask you, have
You
I
know?
lovingly judged you?
I'm sure.
And how did
But
that
you
feel?
know what? And it doesn't feel good. There is a shame,
Yeah.
at first, because it's a natural defense. You kind of want to hide away from it. You're shirking away. You don't want to
Face that you were
admit
wrong.
fault.
Yeah.
And admitting fault is the hardest thing.
Pride.
But
It's
usually,
pride,
Yeah.
yes.
but usually, like when I've tried to direct, you've responded really well, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I see what you mean."
But
and-
but that's like, I bite through it because I also know where my faults are.
Yeah.
And I realize, ooh, it's kind of like, when it's you. You know when it's not the person. You know when it's just you and how you're taking it in. Because there's something in me that, like, I crawl inward and I'm like, And I feel like when you go inward, it's like you're blocking yourself off from that receptivity of it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you just embrace it and say, you know what?
This is constructive.
I
This is to help
recognize
me,
it,
yeah.
yes. And you recognize it and you also realize this is constructive. You know what? I don't like it, but I'm going to say thank you and I'm going to take it.
That's such an important point, though, is coming from it from a place of love and
Yeah.
mercy and wanting to help that person improve. Like, when you're judging someone from that type of place and from that meaning, and when you're not.
Yeah.
Right. And I think also that's important. I mean, it goes both ways, from Christians to be charitable when we're trying to correct somebody, and also do it in love, because that's what God invites us to do, to come and correct somebody in love. But again, we can't be self-righteous and try to, break somebody down, because it's going to defeat the purpose, because they're going to leave the church, and then, you're losing that person. So it's also a good thing to remind us to strike a balance between both. Absolutely. Not to be self-righteous and think like, oh, I'm good and I'm going to fix you. But also we need to be looking at ourselves and trying to fix us.
Yeah.
And not thinking everybody else has the problem, but we don't have the problem.
That's a good point too. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's kind of like when you think of people who are on this like mission to save the world.
Right.
And it's not about saving the world. It starts at home first.
Right.
If you can't change your home, which is home inside of you.
Yeah, like self-examination.
And it's self-examination. And then your own four walls. If I can't even go outside of these walls and make it cohesive to God's law, then how am I going to go outside of me and try to fix everyone else?
It's not possible.
Right.
It's not possible.
You have to have your own life and your own soul in order to go and help others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to make a kind of a proverb from my culture, and it says that a baboon looks at, I don't know if anybody has looked
She's
at,
Ugandan, by the way.
I don't know if anybody has looked at the behind of a baboon, but it's not the prettiest thing. And there's the saying in my tradition, it says that a baboon looks at the other and laughs at it, and it's like, ho, 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 look at that one's behind, and it forgets to look at itself and think like, oh, maybe I should look back there.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So I think it's a reminder for everybody.
It's a basic story in the Bible. They wanted to stone the woman, and then Jesus says, if you have no sins on your soul, then go ahead, but you will be stoned as well. If you have any sins on yourself.
Yeah.
So.
I think Christ talks about judgment a lot in the Bible. And
even he gives us quite a few examples.
And he gives us, a lot of examples of it.
Yeah, a great example is the woman who's going to be stoned within the Bible, that story, and all these people had stones in their hand ready to stone her, and Christ lets them know that none of our souls are clean. We're all sinners, and we could also all be stoned if we were in the same position as that woman.
Yeah, because he said that, if any of you has not sinned, let him be the first to cast the stone. So I think it's something that makes us aware that, as much as we are trying to correct other people, we should also correct ourselves,
Absolutely.
So, and I think you had some scripture to share with us.
Yes, absolutely. This is from Matthew chapter 7, verse 16. By their fruits you shall know them. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, and the evil tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, nor can an evil tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit shall be cut down and shall be cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits you shall know them.
Yeah, so I think that's a very good point, because well, what is Jesus asking us? By their fruit you will know them. So he's calling
By
us
their
to
actions.
Yeah, exactly. He's calling us to make a conclusion about a certain action, because he has a definition of what his Father wants. So he's saying by their fruits you'll know, and he asks us to assess those fruits, to discern, to know for what's wrong or what's right. You know, so then you can know, like, I mean, even Paul in the one of the letters, he talks about, you know, adulterers or drunkards or this kind of people shall not go to heaven. How do you know that somebody's a drunkard? How do you know that somebody, because you have to make a conclusion about someone's behavior. So I think that's, and that's how you tell, by their fruits you will know them.
You had a good line earlier. This was off camera, and you said something not about their actions. Do you remember what you said?
By judging someone not by their actions, not by their soul or their heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's the line. People take it as a punishment against them, and it does
condemnation.
Yes, that condemnation, and they feel it towards their soul, but it's not towards your soul. It's not within my right to.
You,
yeah,
you know, they
it's
take it as
because we love you and we want you to make it to heaven, and God has a certain law. Like,
as long as
this
I'm
is
that
my house. If you
law-abiding person leading with love and not with condemnation, then yes, that's exactly how it should be.
Right.
And so that person receiving it should also take it in with love, and not with the condemnation.
Self-examination, and say, you know, because ultimately I want to go to heaven, and I mean, it's sad.
And we have a duty, you know, as Christ followers, to help people and to bring them with us to God's kingdom.
Right. Yeah. And he's the boss of the house, and we have to abide by the law. And if we are not abiding by that law, then the door is going to be shut down. And you're going to be like, oh, but I loved you. I called myself Christian. But how were you Christian when you couldn't even understand what my law is? You don't even know what my law is. So I think it's very important to understand what that law is and be obedient to that law. And then at the same time, we have to understand that only God can judge, in the sense that, because the problem is, I think most of the definitions have been blood, but we need to understand that only God can judge. But in judgment, in that sense, we are meaning that he is the one who decides where a soul goes, in terms of, is this soul going to heaven or this is going to, so I can't make that decision.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but I can say, like, based on somebody's behavior, this is what I would call that behavior based on what I have seen. But I can't say, oh, you're going to go to hell. And if there's any Christian making that conclusion and telling somebody you're going to hell, then I think it's also an opportunity to self-examine and think like, oh, you know, maybe that's not my job. Because even Jesus says, if we judge others, then in the same way we'll be judged. If we are saying you're going to hell and you're forgetting to look at yourself, we shouldn't be worrying about that. We should just try to correct each other lovingly and help us on this pilgrimage to make sure that we reach our destination.
Yes, I think that's good, ladies. Honestly, that was really good.
But what is the take home on the thing? On judging and being judged? Are you going to be offensive when somebody judges you again?
No, because like I said, that was so long ago, but I've come to learn that when people are trying to give you advice in your life, especially people who are very close to you, you know, like I receive that from family members, from friends. It's coming from a place of love and they want to help you, you know? So that's so important to remember, that if someone you should really examine yourself and how you receive judgment as well, and criticism. Maybe I don't know if that's even a good word. Is that a good word to use, criticism? Of your actions,
I mean, the technical word I think in church is self-examination.
Yeah. How you receive it is also very telling as well. Like you said, you don't want to receive judgment with pride. You know, you should take it and be like, okay, maybe I should improve on that. Maybe I should change that aspect of my life.
Right. How about you, Raven? What do you think?
I think the rule of thumbs here are just mainly, I don't know, be ruled by God. Right. God is love. If you're not being ruled by God, then your actions won't betray it. Your words won't portray it. So then you should know what's going to happen on that receptive end then. Right. So if your words come from a means to tear someone, a means to maybe overly criticize, whatever that word to condemn, then that's the effect that they're going to take. But if you're coming from love and you know that person, if you're on the receiving end, is coming from love, then we should take it just as easily. Some things just need to be brought to light, and maybe... And
it's tough love is needed.
It's tough love, yeah.
It's like a child.
It's not always going to be gentle and sweet. Sometimes it's going to be hard and stern.
And hard to take in and listen to. Yeah.
It's what do they say? That's a tall glass to swallow. Something like that. But Yeah.
Is that the same?
Something like that. You get it. But it's like, I don't know. And you know what? For me personally, I'm just like, hit me with it. I'll bear the blow.
Well, at least I'm glad that you don't take it offensively. At least.
Yeah. Okay.
So what are you gonna do differently moving forward?
Differently? I don't know. Just continue to lead with love.
How about you, Gabby?
What about for you, Monica?
Okay, you go ahead.
Okay, I think the most important thing is that I've been on the receiving end of judgment so much, and I've given it some time as well, but now I'm learning, like you said, to give it to someone with love and with mercy and trying to help them improve, you know?
Yeah.
It's so easy to kind of just, like, pass your own judgment on someone and, like, tell them how they should be living.
Yeah.
But you probably don't really think twice of how you should be delivering that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Delivery in a nice little package with a bow on top.
Yeah, well, for me, what I'm gonna do, well, I love God, so I have to obey the 10 Commandments because I want to make it, and I want to get to God's house, so I'm gonna try to live as closest to the 10 Commandments as I can with
Live
His
like a saint.
yeah, exactly, live like a saint. With His guidance, on my own I can't, but with His help I can do it. But I have to have the desire to do that, and also, you know, I guess try to work on lovingly correcting people. You know, it's just sometimes you're so passionate and you feel you understand like a child. You see them, they're gonna run into the fire and gonna get destroyed, and you're like, please come back, I don't want you to die, or something like that. So you come from that desire wanting to help somebody because they're like, the lion is gonna eat you, come back here. So it just comes from that you have that passion to want to help somebody, which somebody may not see and maybe think like you're being destructive in your behavior, but you know, just working on trying to.
They will thank you in the long run.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
I think
hope so.
in turn, it purifies the sinner's hearts too, because you're conscious of how you're using your words and how that, you know, so I don't know, I think it does something for you as well.
I think it's a work in progress for all of us. But
absolutely,
yeah, but thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
All right.
They were so lovely.
And thanks for joining us, Gabby.
Don't judge me, okay? And thank you so much for joining Bread with the Sisters, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.